Welcome to my video on the commutative and associative properties. So the first property that we're going to look at is the commutative property. So think change order. And look at the first two letters of the commutative property, CO, and look at the letters for change orders, CO. So that can help us remember that. Or we can say must move. And you can use the two M's to remember that. So when numbers change order in addition, it is called the commutative property of addition. So you can think of it this way. You can travel from point X to point Y, or from point Y to point X, and you're still going to cover the same distance. So let's look at some examples. So they need to change order. So here's some addition examples. 5 plus 4 equals 4 plus 5. Notice the 4 and the 5 change order. Example 2, A plus B equals B plus A. Once again, the letters changed order. A plus B plus C equals A plus C plus B. So notice only the B and the C changed order here. So commutative, it can have more than two numbers involved or letters and still be using the commutative property as long as something changes order. So that was the commutative of addition. Now we're going to cover the commutative of multiplication. So when numbers change order in multiplication, it is called the commutative property of multiplication. Okay, let's look at some multiplication examples. 5 times 4 equals 4 times 5. A times B equals B times A. And this time I'm going to change the first two letters. So A times B times C equals B times A times C. Now it's important to note that the commutative property does not work for subtraction. 6 minus 4 is 2, but 4 minus 6 is negative 2, so it does not work for subtraction. Also, it does not work for division as well, because 8 divided by 4 is 2, but 4 divided by 8 is 1/2, or 5/10. All right, let's move on to the associative property. So if you look at the example here, think parentheses moves. So if the parentheses moves or something gets regrouped, then it's the associative property. And I like to call this the dating property. So you can see here, blue guy is dating red girl, and green guy is single. But then blue guy becomes single, and now red girl is dating green guy. So I call it the dating property because in this parentheses, we have one couple, and in this parentheses, we have a different couple. So when the numbers are regrouped using addition, it is called the associative property of addition. Now let's look at some addition examples. 6 plus 5 plus 4 in parentheses. Now, nothing is going to change order, but we're going to regroup it. So since the 5 plus 4 is in parentheses, When I regroup it, I'm now going to have 6 plus 5 in parentheses with the 4 outside. Number 2, A plus B is grouped in parentheses with the plus C outside. Now I'm going to put the A outside the parentheses, and I'm going to group the B plus C. Okay, let's look at some multiplication examples. When the numbers are regrouped using multiplication, it is called the associative property of multiplication. So we have 6 times 5 times 4 inside the parentheses, and now I'm going to group the 6 times 5 in parentheses with the 4 outside the parentheses. Now A times B is in parentheses with C outside, so I'm going to leave the A outside the parentheses and group the B and the C. Okay, turn the page. So here are some SOL practice questions. Which number sentence illustrates the commutative property of multiplication? So we need to remember what the commutative property is, and we're looking for the numbers changing order. And the numbers that are changing order must have a multiplication symbol between them. So let's look at example A. We have 13 times 7, and the numbers change order and became 7 times 13. So this is the correct answer, but let's look at why the other ones are not. Now this one, it's not all addition, or sorry, it's not all multiplication, and the 14 and the 13 change spots. Okay, but there's an addition sign in between them. So this is not anything. C took the 14 and multiplied by the 13 and the 7. This isn't even a property. If the plus sign wasn't there, then it would be a property, but because it is, it's not a property. And here, the parentheses moved, but it's not all addition or multiplication, so this cannot be the commutative of multiplication. It can't even be associative either, even though the parentheses moved, because it's not all addition or multiplication. Okay, let's look at example 2, the associative property of addition. So I'm looking for parentheses moving, and look at this one. The 3 plus x is in parentheses, and it switched spots with the 5. Now the 5 is in front and the parentheses is at the end. So that's actually commutative of addition, so not associative. This one is a property that we'll learn later on, and it's not even done correctly, but this would be almost the distributive property, although 2 times y is not 3y, it's 2y. This property here is the associative of addition because 4 plus x is grouped, now 2 plus 4. Notice nothing changed order, but it was just regrouped. Okay, so if you feel comfortable and you think you can do these on your own, go ahead and pause the video and then turn it back on to check your progress. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to use the word bank above to answer these questions. So it says 14 plus 6 plus 4, 14 plus 4 plus 6. Notice the 6 plus 4 switched and became 4 plus 6. So change order is commutative, and what symbol is in between them? An addition symbol. So this is commutative of addition. Okay, let's look at the next one. 3 plus 8 plus 10, 3 plus 8 plus 10, nothing changed order, but I noticed that the parentheses is regrouped. The parentheses move, so this is associative of addition. Okay, number 3. 2 times 4 times 3, 2 times 4 times 3, so nothing changed to order. But I noticed that the parentheses is regrouped, the numbers are regrouped, so the parentheses move, so this is associative of multiplication. Okay, number 4. I see n plus 8 times 5 equals 5 times n plus 8. So I noticed here that the parentheses changed order with the 5. And what symbol's in between them? A multiplication symbol. So this is actually commutative of multiplication, because there's a multiplication symbol in between what changed order. So commutative of multiplication. That is always a tricky one. Okay, number 5. 1/2 times 6 times 5, 1/2 times 6 times 5. Notice the parentheses is regrouped. So that's associative of multiplication. And then the last one here, we have x times y plus z equals y times x plus z. So notice the x and the y changed to order, and because we know that number in front of letter or letter in front of letter is multiplication, this is the commutative of multiplication. Okay, that concludes our notes on the associative and commutative properties. I hope you have a great day.